Greetings, Kratik here. We're going to be going over the Fire Trapsin build. The assassin in general has a lot of utility earlier on with the burst of speed, giving us faster run walk in combination with a lot of lower tier abilities such as the Wake of Fire and Fire Blast that you can invest more points in early on. So this is a stark contrast to the sorceress, who typically has like level 24, level 30 abilities that you have to save up points for. And even when you get teleport on the sorceress early on, you cannot use it because you don't have the mana recovery that would allow you to continually cast it. So it's basically just utility, whereas the assassin is already blazing through those maps with the increased speed from this ability. When you get to level 66, the sorceress may have the ability to teleport consistently. The progression up till then, the assassin will definitely win out, right? So this particular build is going to be using a plus skills base. You do need a lot of resistances, and you also need attack speed. Have certain attack speed to hit frame breakpoints for your trap laying and your fire blast. These are going to be your main two abilities, Wake of Fire and Fire Blast. So you get AoE with the Wake of Fire, and then your Fire Blast is dealing the single target. Wake of Fire in general has a next frame hit delay, so that you can only really cast 2 Wakes of Fire on top of one another before you stop dealing the maximum damage that this trap can deal to enemies. So in general, you're going to want to place Wake of Fire no more than 2 traps in the same area. However, this doesn't preclude you from placing more because sometimes they attack in different directions. So not necessarily a bad thing to cast additional ones, but definitely something you can look out for, especially when you're also casting Death Sentry. So the idea here is that we can lay maybe 2 Wakes of Fire and start casting Fire Blast, and our mercenary comes in, and then we kill one enemy that's in a group of enemies, and then your Death Sentry will take over and corpse explode to deal even more area of effect damage, both physical and fire. So this will function as your hybrid DPS as well, which is great, and it also deals massive AoE, plus it deals lightning damage when it's not exploding corpses. So kind of the physical and the lightning are coming in play to give you a means, especially just a nightmare, to handle resistant monsters. This build is similar to the sorceress composition that I made in that it includes a lot of magic find, which is really great. You can see here I'm scrolling over the magic find items, and then we also have just a base of all resistances from both the Death Guard and Death's Hand, and the Mosers with 2 perfect diamonds. So this is really great. Keep in mind you can swap in the lower helm for even more plus to skills, and giving you that little bit of lightning resist in case you don't have enough charms. This is also a great option. However, the mana per kill does not, when a trap kills an enemy, is not going to restore mana in that case. All of the footage here I've taken without the lore helm just to show like the weaker version of the build, and it still performs really well. So do keep that in mind. And yeah, so for the mercenary, I have opted here to go a prayer mercenary all the way up to level 66 because I felt it just complemented the build really well, and I felt I didn't need the Holy Freeze mercenary as much. Sometimes you do want enemies to come at your traps a little bit faster so that you can generate their corpse a little bit more readily. Not all the time, but some of the time this is still useful. So overall, I found it the better setup. We also have the crest here for life leech, and then the rattle cage for crushing blow in case you want to kill bosses like Diablo or Baal or whatever. The rattle cage is there. If you don't intend on doing this and you just want to clear Baal one time and then go back and run Nightmare Cow level, which is what I would probably recommend doing most of the time. You can swap this out for a different chest piece, shaft stop, Duriel shell, smoke on the cheaper end of things, anything, treachery if you can afford it, right? So a lot of different options. And yeah, aside from that, getting extra mana from charms, ring perhaps, and getting your resistances filled in by those charms as well just makes for a build that not only has a lot of magic find and gold find, but can survive, deal damage, handle any situation. It's just a lovely thing to see. Now, skill-wise, you will want to ensure you have at least 3 points in the burst of speed to hit a level 5 soft point. The reasoning behind going Death Sentry a little bit earlier is because it is great AoE, and the radius does increase with the amount of skill points you put in it. That's why I would advise kind of before you fill in the Fire Blast, put a few points in the Death Sentry and then alternate between the two. That way you're leveling, or as you level, you're putting in to your Wake of Fire synergy and also leveling your hybrid DPS option, both increasing the lightning damage that it deals and the area of effect. And notice as well, we did pick up Mind Blast, mostly for like really hard elite packs, frenzy tars, dolls, this sort of thing. But you also can use this particular ability on some of the harder Bale waves. So there are a couple of different variations that we're going to go through now. It may take a little bit longer to do this, but I wanted to mention them nonetheless. Level 19, the best variation is probably going to be to run a Leaf Staff in combination with the Stealth chest piece. This will give you a lot of fast run walk, hit recovery, resistances, and it's just a decent mod to start out with. The difficulty, however, with the Leaf, even though it gives +3 fire, which would help your Wake of Fire damage considerably, is that you don't have a shield, so it's really hard to get your resistances in check. You can do this with charms, however, you might not have the charms, so you might be even lower than I'm displaying here while you're playing through normal. So it's advisable to use your ring and ring slots and amulet slots, and perhaps even your boot slot to try and get those resistances. Now, this particular build, I believe, is hitting just the 10 frame, which is acceptable, but even if you don't have the Blood Fists, it's just so much DPS increase from the plus skills that it's really great. If you do have the Death's Hand set at this stage, I would advise wearing that because it would bring you all the way down to 9 frame, but even Blood Fists or some minor source of attack speed would help really much. Don't forget those stamina charms early on, very nice. And for the follower, Prayer Aura, Dust Deep, Dark Glow, and Blood Thief for the Life Stolen and the Open Wounds. So for early skill points, you're definitely going to want to get a Burst of Speed level 3, and then be putting points into Fire Blast to continue your DPS at lower levels. And as you get into Act 2, Act 3, you will be able to then put points into Wake of Fire and thereafter level this as quick as possible. Now, something that will be important as you progress into level 27 is you're going to pick up the Insight. You're going to try and increase your mana pool a little bit by placing more charms with plus the mana. If you can fit them in or find them, that would be really nice. Getting a ring that just has plus the mana on it is going to be quite nice as well. You'll keep your stealth chest piece, however you will replace your helm with a perfect flawless topaz or perfect topaz helm. We're going to use Sanders for just the increased mobility, and then we're going to slap on an Ancient's Pledge, which would be really good for resistances once we hit Act 5 normal. Something you can also do in the cow level, the drop rate for the death set is really low, and this would be a good time with your additional magic find to try and find these two items. Conversely, finding a crystal sword in normal difficulty without magic find equipped is also something that you might want to do, because a plain crystal sword can be socketed with the Larza quest and allow you to get a 4-socket crystal sword. This is a great way to get into your starter setup with such a low level build. And especially with the insight equipped now, the extra health regen and mana regen should make this build feel really nice as you are engaging enemies, progressing, this sort of thing. For the amulet and ring, these are sort of open slots. If you need extra resistances, put these here, or you can find some nice magic find items and place those as well. So level 27, you do have a choice here. You can go for an early Mind Blast, which would help you with Bale running, but I think this character is more suited for cow runs. So the idea is that you defeat Bale once, and while it may be a little bit more painful without Mind Blast in that interim, once you defeat Bale, you can then do cow runs when you probably don't need the Mind Blast this early on, especially with your burst of speed allowing you to run so quickly. You'll notice we have continued leveling Wake of Fire, but are also starting to put points in our Death Sentry, or trying to get there at least. So with level 37, we're probably breaking into Nightmare, Acts 1 and 2. You might be doing tomb runs at this point to gain XP, that sort of thing. But you might just have pretty much the same gear as we detailed in the level 27. And if you haven't gotten it yet, go ahead and get it. Maybe slightly better charms to complement our build at this point in time. And then we're just placing a few points into Death Sentry. Death Sentry is going to allow us a great, even better means at dealing AoE damage to groups of enemies, especially once that first target is dead. You will have to take more time to place more sentries down. You can't just get away with just dropping 2 Wake of Fire and then starting to Fire Blast anymore. Level 37 is also a great point in time to upgrade your Death Guard Sash to a Demon Hide version. This is because you passed level 29 and can now fit in more potion slots with the upgrade. I love this starter build. Hope you all enjoy it too. And I think I will actually run this particular build as well upon ladder start, whenever that is. So I'm excited. Hope you are too.